Hello and welcome to Boomer Live. And if you're an RCB fan today, just like me, you're going to be having a tough night. And it's been now, every time at the business end of the season, it's going down the drains when the team starts having these kind of matches. It's the second consecutive loss for RCB, and RR is the first ever team to defend a score below 150 this IPL. And they'll be pretty pleased with that. Of course, in the Pune ground, it was a tough start for RR, but all thanks to Riyan Parag, he has shut his critics pretty well, or just not on the field, but with the bat as well today. So, of course, we are here with Sandipani and Nikhil to talk about the game. Nikhil, I'll get to you.
Yes.
Where do you reckon that RCB really lost in momentum? Because RCB was in the game, if you talk about the early 19 overs of the game, and the last over, do you reckon the momentum just shifted towards RR with that 16 runs over?
I still think this total should have been chased. It wasn't even a challenging total, to be very honest. Even given the deck, there was some help for the paces, but something that you always get in Pune. So it's 145. If you're going to not chase that and you fold up for 115, just tells you. And it's not that they don't have batting depth. They had Hasaranga coming in at 9, I think, today. So there is a lot of batting that's there. It's just the usage and the shot making and a lot of things that they've done wrong. Take the Dinesh Karthik run out. Again, I think Kohli looked very eager today to get going, but again, he's just into that phase where nothing seems to be working for him. I think the reliance on the top order is very very evident now. That if the top order doesn't click for RCB, they aren't finding the Riyan Parag or the Ayush Badoni or the Deepak Hooda, whoever you want to call it, to give them to take them to the safer shows. Every game, Dinesh Karthik can't do it himself. That's not his job. He's there to finish games for you, but he can't always set up the game for you.
Right, absolutely. I'll come to you, Sandipani. I'll take it up right from there because it's been the case since game one, right? Only the first game where Virat Kohli and Fab du Plessis clicked. But from there on, if you look at all the RCB wins, it's been the middle order which has clicked. And if you look, a middle order cannot come and pull you through always in the tournament. If you're three down in the early part of the power play, it's like more often than not the team loses. 80% of the times, you are just going to collapse, and that's what's been happening with RCB, especially last couple of matches. Today's match, Faf looked good, but then that one Kuldeep Sen's over where he picked up Faf and also Maxwell for naught really put the momentum back on RR, and from there on, they might have actually started believing that we're right in it, and a couple of good overs there, and RCB was on the squeeze again.
Yeah, I think I've always said that I did not understand why they dropped Kuldeep Sen in the first place. He had a brilliant first game. He just went for a few in the second game and then he was dropped. So I always felt that bringing him back will give them the opportunity to like strengthen their batting. With like if you take out Obed McCoy, then somehow your batting can get strengthened. But it was good to see Riyan Parag score those runs and silence his critics because, frankly, he hadn't got this kind of opportunity previously. Because Butler was performing well in all the games, Butler and Samson, they were not leaving it for the middle order to do much. And then there was Hetmeyer finishing games for them. So
Right.
Rajasthan, this was Rajasthan will be very satisfied with today's victory because they had a very clinical display with the ball, and the players who did not get too much match practice before this game, they also clicked. So all in all, a very satisfactory game for them. Speaking about Royal Challengers Bangalore, uh, Nikhil rightly pointed out, like we have been talking about this, that their top order has not been clicking. This is, I think, the fifth continuous game where they have lost the first four wickets within 60 or 70 runs on the board. So you can't always expect Dinesh Karthik, Sehbaz Ahmed to do the job. Like they are your lower middle order, and they are expected to finish games, not come in at 8th and 9th over and set up the game and then finish it. So I think
Right.
it's a cause of concern. It has been a cause of concern for them. So they really need to work on it. And it's been the case for RCB. They start off very well, and somewhere in the middle, they lose the plot. So let's hope it's not the case this time around.
Right. Now, RCB is the only team to have played 9 games, and of course, they have got 5 games remaining, and they have to win almost 4 to 3 games to stay hunt stay in the hunt. And considering the net run rate, they might have to win 4 out of 5. Nikhil, now going ahead, do you really see this top order being that mantra? Because Rajat Patidar was definitely a surprise for many, because everybody expected Mahipal Lumror to be the person to be in that number 3 position. And considering his previous records in IPL as well, he's done considerably well whenever he has gotten that opportunity. He's got that ability to bat anywhere in the batting order as well. Even in domestic cricket for Rajasthan, he always bats number 4, number 5, even sometimes number 3 as well. And he also has that bowling option. You reckon it's time for RCB to consider someone like a Mahipal Lomrar slotting in at number 3? I know it's too early to take a call on Rajat Patidar, but then, Mahipal Lomrar could be the possible balance making player in that lineup.
I really don't think my Patidar or Lamrur is the problem with RCB right now. To call it the spade, it's been the experienced guys who have not performed. Faf has performed in some games. Kohli hasn't really got going, and then Maxwell has looked very good in the short stays, but in short stays, and you can get a good first ball. I don't think you can blame Maxwell too much in that, but when you are in an environment like RCB are, these things can actually really take you down the wrong route, because they've been in such situations too often in this stage of the tournament. And this is where you want an experienced leader in Faf or a Virat to really take up that added responsibility and lead from the front, especially after the game that they had last one, where they collapsed for a really low score. Then the confidence, it's not going to be there to really keep going. Again, it's the scars from the past. So I don't think they should change just too often in terms of, now they've given Patidar, give him a good enough time at 3, and then you see what happens. I think even Kohli today, he opened, it looked okay. Again, I don't know what's okay and not okay now with Virat, to be very honest, but they'll have to stick to this combination, and it just has to be playing to each other's strengths now. I think that is where RCB's batting has been lacking, and they're losing the first a wicket too early every single game. So it's already putting a pressure on the batting lineup that's trying to survive somehow. So hopefully they don't take the case out on the youngsters, and hopefully the seniors step up now.
Right. So when I come to last match when RCB lost to SRH, we did discuss that these kind of scores can totally break you from here on. Momentum, you lose the momentum. Net run rate hits it's a rock bottom. From there on, how do you pick yourself up? And now it's second consecutive game. You've seen the same mistakes being repeated. The top order collapses, middle order is unable to pick you up, and your team capitulates to a lower score. How does a team from here on pick themselves up? Because you know that you've got every game very important now. This tournament is a very funny one. You might look very good at the start of the tournament, but you might not even know before you just look to realize your mistakes. You might be out of the tournament. So from here on, what is next for RCB? That's my question.
I think RCB has, in the past, RCB has managed to pick themselves up really well. Once they had a horrible, if I recall, every time in the last 4 or 5 seasons, they have one game where they managed to score below 100, get bundled out for below 100. But they bounce back in the next game. I think it has to do with the senior players. A lot has to do with the senior players, the experienced players. They will know what to do in the next game. They will try and not repeat their mistakes and come back stronger, come back with the aggressive way that we know RCB to play the aggressive brand of cricket that they usually play. So I think scoring 100, 120 in one game won't bog them down, but it's a concern considering that in the last 5 games they haven't scored over 70 with the first 4 wickets, and now in the consecutive 2 games they have not gone past 120. So it's definitely a concern. But again, starting off very well and then losing the plot in between, you can KKR, for example, they won 3 of their first 4 games, and suddenly they lost 2, and then another 2 on the trot. Last time they could not chase down 157. So RCB broke that record. RR managed to defend the lowest score. Before that, I think Gujarat Titans had the thing of defending the lowest score this season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think these are 2 teams which are which have to come back, bounce back strong, and it's high time now. We are getting into the business end. And rightly mentioned, RCB's net run rate is a huge cause of concern. But I don't think you need to worry about net run rate if you score 16 points in this competition. So I think 3 wins out of the 5 games will give them the playoff spot.
Right. Nikhil, coming to you now. Let's talk about Rajasthan Royals, because this was a game where they might have felt, oh, this is not going too well for us, because the top order did not fire. Sanju got out playing a very bad shot to Hasranga. Yet again, 5th time he has got Sanju. And from there on, you just feel like RR is just losing the product. That's when a player who's been most criticized throughout this IPL, Riyan Parag, has stepped up, and you will feel like this was a game perfectly set for him to show his finishing skills, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they used him in that role very well today. I think that is where Ryan should be playing most of his time. Come in during the middle overs, during that 9 to 15 space, set the game up the way you want to, and have that assurance that even if I feel there is a headman to follow, it just frees you up that much more. You have a time to build your innings from the scratch and not always under too much pressure. Of course, he was under pressure, but his entry point was far better, and there was that assurity that okay, I still have a Shimran to come. So it just makes you think that much differently. Again, a lot has been said about him. He's just too young, and he's been given the probably one of the most difficult jobs. And it's not easy to crack. People, even experienced guys, are not able to close games out for their side. And to expect a 20-year-old to do it, even if it's taken 3 seasons, it's okay. I mean, Rohit Sharma took 6, 7 years to get going. It's okay. People take time. Everybody is different. So you have to give them the right role. Rohit Sharma was also played up and down, and then they gave him the good role, and then he came off. So hopefully, this is the game. This is the role that Rian gets for a longer period of time. And then, if he doesn't do from here, then it's something that you can question him that okay, now you're getting enough game time, good enough role, consistent run. Now we need to see more consistency in your run making, which is understandably fine. But till now, I don't think that was happening. So hopefully today, as I said, as Sandipani rightly said, that this win should please RR the most because it was set up by two youngsters, Riyan Parag and then Kuldeep Sen. Kuldeep Sen came back in the side and just hit the ball running from ball one. And that is what you want. You want people coming into the side hungry to perform and getting those breakthroughs, getting those runs for you because it's when you do it in a tough situation, it gives you and the entire unit that much more confidence that yes, we have good enough backup on even our worst day.
Absolutely. It's so important to have the youngsters step up. Sandeep, when I coming to you, what did you make of Arsenal's bowling performance and Sanju's captaincy, especially? Because he just looked like he was using his ballers perfectly according to situations, isn't it? Especially the way in which he bought in Kuldeep Sen for those overs, or the way in which his idea or tactics were using Chahal. Because he held back Chahal just for Dinesh Karthik, and of course, it just paid off. Though Dinesh Karthik got run out, but you know that there was a certain amount of pressure which was created when Chahal came back after 10 overs.
Yeah, I think it's been the approach for Sanju in the last 2 3 games that he has been holding back Chahal for the later half of the game because he realizes that his death bowling is not probably the strongest suit for RR. So he knows that somebody has to fill in the role of bowling those overs between 10 to 15 or 10 to 17, where the match will be decided. Basically, RR. If you see in the last 3 games, RR have won the games batting first. Like they have successfully defended scores, even though they got over 200 in the first 2 games. Today was a much better clinical performance. I think there was nothing much wrong with the pitch. Of course, 160, 170 should have been par according to me. I think Rajasthan were still 15 runs, approximately 15 runs short. But then they came back. They got the early wicket. Prasidh Krishna picked up Virat Kohli, and then they took some time stabilizing the innings. And then right after the power play, they decided to bring in the fifth bowling option, and it paid off for them. So
Absolutely.
it could have gone either ways, but kudos to Kuldeep Sen for coming back so strongly. I think he shouldn't have lost his place in the first place, but coming back so strongly shows the character of a person. I think it's too early to say that, but still he was bowling at good pace. He was bowling in good line. So Kuldeep Sen probably in the middle overs is the best place to bowl him because we have seen that in the death overs he can sometimes go for runs. So yeah, as always, it's a very clinical bowling display from RR. They will be very satisfied with this effort.
True. Before we, to end the show, let's talk about Ravichandran Ashwin because he's going under the radar quite a few times, but he's doing a very decent job so far. He's been very economical. I know he's held that one end for RR, always making sure that there is no leakage at all. Nikhil, coming to you, I know he's a much more different T20 baller now, and we have to see him in that angle. Whatever ball he's doing, he's not ball a single off break, if I'm not wrong. except that ball which he balled to Suyesh today. I reckon, or to Tilak Verma. I think that's only 2 times I've seen him ball two proper off breaks. You reckon that now is adapting to these roles where he reckons that I can do the defending job, but then if wickets come my way, that's I'll take it any day.
So, of course, see, we know that Ashwin is a definitely thinking bowler, and we've seen enough illustrations of that. So, I'm sure his role is pretty much well defined in that setup. And with Chahal being held back for the end overs, it means that they want people to create pressure, to create choke the runs so that they start going after Chahal and not after other bowlers. And that's where Ashwin is also benefiting because he knows, like people are also knowing that okay, this is the time, so we need to go after Ashwin, and then it's working in Ashwin's favor as well. Then he's getting those key breakthroughs from time to time. So his economy may be the one that will tell you that okay, he's bowling great, but it's actually creating enough pressure without at times taking the desired wicket, so that it's the other guy, it's Chahal or Kuldeep Singh or the trend bowler Prasidh Krishna who benefits out of that lack of runs from him. I think in the first few games, he was still probably bowling a lot more defensive, but you can see the results are showing for him now. Where in terms of people are now starting to take him on, and then because he's bowling very tight, it's up to the batsman to take the risk, and it's not working out for them. So again, keen to see how this goes further because I'm sure teams will know that these are the options that they can target when they play RR. So it should be interesting battle to see how teams line Ashwin up.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about how did everybody go in the fantasy field because it's something which is in your hands and your skill has been tested out there. Let's see who are the top five points earners in among the players, of course. Kuldeep Sen out there topping the list alongside Riyan Parag because Riyan Parag you expect him to be there with the kind of catches he has taken and also with that gritty 50. And Ravichandran Ashwin he scored a brilliant 19 with the bat and also he picked up 3 wickets. And when we talk about RCB's end, though you would say they had a very good day in the ball, there was just Vanandu Hasranga who scored that good 15 runs, and Siraj, of course, only makes to the list. How many of them did you have in your team? Nikhil, coming to you first.
One of them. But I still got all my money back, and not even my money back. I got more than what I invested. So to me, I'll still call it a lemonade day because my captain was not Joss Butler. I did not go with any batter. I went with more bowlers, and that has saved the day for me. So yeah, I'm still happy that I got more than what I had invested.
Absolutely. Sandipani, what about you?
I also had a okay sort of a day because I had 3 out of the 5. I did not have Mohammad Siraj and I had Kuldeep Sen. Interestingly, I picked Kuldeep Sen after the toss, but I did not have Riyan Parag, and I think most of the guys did not have Riyan Parag in their team because Hetmeyer was finding it difficult to get enough balls to like make an impact in the game. So you won't predict Riyan Parag coming in and playing that knock. But it's good for him, good for the team, and good for us as well because nobody had him in their teams.
If you had Riyan Parag in your team, you had an absolute lemonade kind of a day for sure. But Nikhil, coming to you, in on such days where unexpected performers turn up, how do you still make profit out of it? And how do you still have a good day in the fantasy field? I know you're taking a course on that, so can you please explain to our viewers how can that course benefit you in having those kind of calls?
Yeah, I think this IPL has been a perfect example of how you cannot always predict the right flow of the game. These unusual performers will come good and these things will happen. But what you have to realize is, was this your fault that Riyan Parag was promoted and scored runs? No. Was it your fault that Kuldeep Singh was a credit pick for a lot of guys and not actually an option? But because the credits are so high, you have to take a Kuldeep Singh. So these are the questions that you have to ask yourself that okay, what was the logic behind picking someone and dropping someone? Once you have answers to those, you'll probably understand that where you are going wrong in your journey as a fantasy cricket player, and that's what I've been doing for a long time. I've tried to use that in the course that I've put up, that find out the reasons why you have not made the amount that you should. You'll understand that okay, there's a pattern, then you need to do better at probably doing more homework, more data analysis needed, or there is a need of joining different contests or change your investment patterns or change the time of joining your context. So it could be anything. So the course encapsulates all of this in one place, and a lot of people are already benefiting in the way that now they're starting to do the homework by themselves. And when you do something by yourself and it comes off, like today, I was very sure, I shared on my channel as well, that I don't think Josh Butler will score today. And he didn't. And
Wow.
when it comes off for you, you know that you are going to have a lead over a lot of them because he was a common captain. But these things can backfire as well, which is why he was my vice captain, but my captain was Harsha. And he gave more points than Faf or a Virat or a Butler. So that saved the day for me. And again, that what saved the day for me? Different contests. So these things are important. Realizing where you'll get good money, where you'll get risky money. That's how you stay in this for a longer period of time.
True. That's a great insight because you can have these kind of unpredictable days. And guys, if you want to check out on the course, go straight into our description. There's a
Yeah.
link out there, and you can click on it and avail the course which Nikhil is taking. And it can of course benefit you to play pick and win. So talking about play pick and win, you can also play pick and win with Boomer 11. And this IPL, you can win prizes worth up to $5,000. So why would you miss out on those chances out there? And of course, go try your luck there because it's totally free to play, and you can test your fantasy skills and see who comes on top as well, and create a private contest as well, and play with your friends and show them that you are the real boss of fantasy cricket. So don't miss out on any of this because it's totally free to play. You're not losing anything. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
you're only earning. So thank you, gentlemen, for joining. It was a great discussion on the RCB's loss and of course the Rajasthan's victory. Of course, we'll be joining you every day, so do not miss out on that. And follow, subscribe to our YouTube channel right now and click the bell icon as well. And of course, we are coming with some Twitter Spaces as well these days, so do not miss out on that. Just follow, join on Twitter Spaces. Just before the game, we do our fantasy predictions and game preview there. We'll be having Jones, Sandipani, and Nikhil right there as well. Thank you, and have a good day.
Yeah. Have a royal night, LP.
Yeah.
The Pink Royals, of course.
Yeah. Think